Joining us right now, Representative Frank Wolf, Republican of Virginia, serving out his final term in Congress, but joining us today because something that he has been so outspoken about for years and years and years, and that is Chinese cyber espionage. Finally, the federal government, the Department of Justice, did something about it yesterday. Representative Wolf, talk to me about the importance of yesterday's move, and also whether anything if this is really going to amount to anything and any action.
It's very important, and I want to commend the FBI and the Justice Department for bringing the case finally. Secondly, I think it can make a big difference. Thirdly, almost every major company in the United States has been hit by the Chinese. Actually, the Chinese stripped everything off before my computers. My committee, we fund the FBI. I've seen the list of who's getting hit. Law firms are getting hit. Foundations in Washington are getting hit. High-tech companies are getting hit. Low-tech companies. And they're stealing jobs. They're literally stealing jobs. This is like a mafia operation coming out of China. And frankly, the same people that are doing this, the People's Liberation Army, they have 24 Catholic bishops under house arrest. They've plundered Tibet. 130 Tibetan monks have killed themselves because of what they're doing. They're putting Protestant pastors in jail, and they're stealing. And so it is a very positive thing. Now you have to move up the food chain. We should begin to indict some of the people who are in the Chinese government. We should indict the head of the People's Liberation Army. You know those low officers did not do this unless they were told by the People's Liberation Army. Then we should move right up the food chain until we take the highest ones out, because they're stealing jobs from the American people.
But, Representative Wolf, if that's the case, and I don't doubt it, then is getting the FBI and Department of Justice involved enough? Or maybe we should actually have some legislation moving through where we stop treating this country like such a partner in business and such an ally, and we end this business-as-usual relationship with China.
Well, America made a mistake when we gave most favored nation trading status to China. You have a lot of major law firms in this city who are working for the Chinese. No law firm in this city would have ever worked for the Russians during Ronald Reagan's time. You have people who are literally selling their country out. You don't need more laws. You need to enforce the laws that we have. Mandiant, that company out in Northern Virginia, came out with a report about 6 months ago showing what they're doing. They are stealing jobs. And secondly, I want to thank the companies that had the guts to come forward, because that's been one of the problems. The companies who have been hit, they know they've been taken away, but they were afraid because they're afraid the Chinese will intimidate them. And frankly, you have to expect it. The Chinese will respond. They will respond, and when they respond, we should respond back. Fundamentally, the Chinese government is a corrupt operation. Many of the high leaders have their kids over here going to school in Washington, Boston, Philadelphia, driving BMWs and Mercedes and everything. It is fundamentally a mafia operation. This government is not as strong as they appear to be. And lastly, it's another reason why we have to get control over debt and deficit. The fact that we owe these people money is it's morally wrong. But you have to commend the Justice Department. You have to commend the FBI, and now this is the beginning. And the first case is the hardest case. No one wants to come forward, but now they'll see. So I think we don't need more laws. We need some guts and backbone.
Well, you want to commend the FBI. I want to take a moment to salute and commend you, because you, from almost the very start, were one of those who felt like we needed answers about what happened in Benghazi. You kept calling, you kept pressing, and you kept asking for a select committee investigation, and now we're going to have one. And, Congressman, my question to you is, we are beginning to hear from Democrats, old news, nothing new to find out here, move along, move along. I want to ask you the question I've been asking everyone over the past few days. Do you still have questions about what happened in Benghazi, and what do you still want to know?
Well, I do, and the reason I do are two reasons. One, I've been in touch with people who were on the ground at the time of the attack. Secondly, and I was in the Nixon administration. Nixon was a crook. What they did during the Nixon administration was terrible. I worked for Secretary Roger C.B. Morton. They politicized the Justice Department. You remember Attorney General Mitchell. They politicized the FBI. Remember Patrick Gray.
Right.
When you can no longer trust your government, as you could not during the Nixon administration, it was a Republican administration, that is destructive of the American way. That is destructive. So the American people need a government FBI, CIA, DIA, ATF, that they can trust. And based on information that I've been given, all the information wasn't. I want our government to be honest and ethical and decent. And so there's much more that I think has to really come out.
Well,
now that we have a select committee, I have confidence whoever's going to do it. But based on information that has been given to me, I think there will be more that will come out.
Okay, so based on that information, what can you give? Give us some general guidance of the things that you think will come out.
I think I'm going to let the select committee do this. My goal, I said at the time I would not serve on the select committee. I did not want to serve on it. I have confidence in the people that have been selected. I think I'm going to let them kind of do their case. It has to be bipartisan. It ought to be fair. It ought to be objective. They ought to call the witnesses publicly. The members ought not be limited to just 5 minutes. If you limit to 5 minutes, I mean, the person you're interviewing knows that the clock runs out in 5 minutes. They should be able to take a half an hour. There needs to be a lot of preparation. They need to hire experienced people who understand this. It has to be fair. And lastly, all the hearings have to be public. And they have to call certain people. They have to be public. And they can't be required. That's why a select committee is so important. You had one committee could just stay in this lane, another committee stay in that lane. You now have a group of people who can go over committees and jurisdictions. And I think everything has to be fair so the American people can see it. But I think I'm going to let the select committee kind of do their work. I think the fact that we have it is very positive. We always must trust the government.
Representative Wolf.
We must trust the government. And we cannot have situations whereby political activities come in that make us lose confidence.
Representative Frank Wolf, we only have about 30 seconds. I just want to ask you, you mentioned the Watergate hearings. There were a lot of Republicans who were just as outraged at what happened under Watergate. Do you see who's the Democrat who's going to step up here on the Democrat side and start asking the tough questions?
Well, I don't know that I can, I don't know. I just think we need a government. I mean, I can remember when I would come home every morning, I wake up the Washington Post. To the Washington Post credit, they did a great job in exposing what took place in Watergate. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Patrick Gray, they had politicized the FBI. So I just think we got to approach this in a fair, objective, bipartisan way, public hearings so the American people can see it, and we make sure it never happens again. Keep in mind, no one connected to the attack has been apprehended.
Right,
no
and thank you, Representative Frank Wolf. And also, let's bear in mind that no one from the State Department has suffered any consequences due to this event.
Thank you, Congressman.
Congressman, great to